Okay, so again, a warm welcome to everyone who's joined us this evening. The evening's hosted by Leslie and myself, and what we want to do is begin with a brief introduction, basically, into Uplift Unite. And, sorry, just one second, into Uplift Unite. And that'll be followed by an interactive session about wellbeing. We then want to have a little bit of a consultation with you around the community subjects that you feel are important and that you would like to perhaps know more about in the future webinars. And then we're going to finish with a general question and answer session. Now, at Uplift Unite, we think that it's quite important for you to be reassured as to who the faces are behind the company. Hence the reason that we're going to give you a tiny bit of background into myself and Leslie. And just let you know that we are real people, what kind of knowledge, what sort of experience we have, and partly what our beliefs and values are. So, firstly, I'm just going to begin with myself. And as Leslie said before, that we are amongst friends this evening, so I know there are quite a few people here who know me, and I'm very grateful for everyone who's joined us this evening. So my name's Jane Manton. Back in the mid-80s, I left school and began my career as an engineer at British Aerospace. After a few years, I realised that although it was interesting, I wanted to work more with people. I left there and became a retail manager. And one thing that I quite quickly recognised was the importance of having a happy team with that environment. And this was the first experience I'd had at, a relatively young age, I would say, of sort of supervising people. But I knew if they were happy, motivated, and felt valued, that they would all enjoy coming to work, and it would be a better environment for me as well. And also that they'd be more productive as long as they felt valued. And another important thing for me was to ensure that the customers felt valued as well that came into the store. So our store ended up becoming quite a productive one, and I was requested by some of the senior members of the company to put together some training around the customer service and what we christened as our internal customers, which were the team. So after a few years there, I chose to start a family and had a couple of years out, as retail can be quite long and demanding hours. When I was considering what to do next, a friend suggested the police, and almost 20 years ago to the day, I started with GMP. I've still worked there part-time and I specialise in immersive learning. And for the last 6 years, I've also successfully ran a holistic and photography and craft business alongside working part-time within the police. Now, when I joined the police 20 years ago, I did so because I knew I wanted to make a difference and help people. But I quite quickly realised that often when the police get involved with people, they've already reached a crisis point. And this applies to the victims and the offenders. And I began questioning, how have these people got here? What could have been different to stop this? So when I had the chance to listen to some of the people that I was coming across, often the answers weren't clear. There were so many reasons. There were events they'd experienced as children or young adults. It was the support from the family members or even the lack of the support, the guidance and perhaps role models that they had that were within their circle of influence, and maybe their emotional state or their insecurities, or just simply them being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And those are just a few examples. There are many more. One thing that also became apparent was the lack of awareness in the general community around the early warning signs of certain things, and the lack of knowledge around the possible outcomes or the consequences if they made certain choices or decisions. And this prompted a change of role for me. And about 12 years ago, I became a school-based officer working predominantly with young people. And that's where I had the pleasure of meeting Leslie and Karen, who's joined us tonight, and we'll introduce Karen in a little while. And that was also the start of my journey into partnership and prevention work. So over the next 10 years, Lesley and I developed and worked on many successful projects in the community and with young people, raising awareness of key subjects such as hate crime, child exploitation, radicalisation, personal safety, and many, many more. My path within policing then led me into working within the multi-agency safeguarding hub, or MASH for short. And my role then at the time was to coordinate the early support to the victims of domestic abuse and violence. Now, as with domestic abuse or any circumstances where vulnerable people are taken advantage of in some way, the victims are initially unaware of what they're stepping into. It then becomes a challenge to get out of that situation. Things can creep up on them, the gradual increase in levels of control, the isolation that might be enforced upon them from their friends and the family, and the dependency on another financially or even emotionally, and the constant drip of abuse undermining their confidence. So this is why raising awareness of these early signs and help and support that is out there is so important, not just for domestic abuse, but for other vulnerable people who find themselves in situations where they're perhaps losing their identity. But how can we stop this? And I say we, as in us. This isn't a process that is going to happen overnight. And it isn't something just one person or just two people or even one group can achieve. The more we as individuals, as other groups or as collective community can spread these messages of awareness, provide this prevention in a simple way that can then be cascaded and shared with everyone in the community, the more likely we are to achieve the goals of diverting people of falling into these situations where they may be taken advantage of or exploited. So as Uplift Unite, we recognise that it's essential to be guided by the people in order to help the people. We are all unique and we're all going to be motivated and empowered in many, many different ways. Ways that will gradually rebuild confidence, give a renewed sense of belonging, and help provide other opportunities. In addition to this, one thing Lesley and I have also realised and had many discussions about over the years is that one of the most important things in life, and hence the reason why we both work in the environments that we do, is people. And that starts with ourselves and with self-care. Now, you can have all the riches in the world, you can have the fancy car, the fancy clothes, but if your mind, body and soul are not balanced and in a positive place, then none of that is going to matter. We have been on numerous courses, we've self-studied, we've read many books and have made changes to our lives as a result of the information and the knowledge that we've gleaned over the years. But even so, despite all this, life can still be a roller coaster. So we will be able to get to some people at the beginning of their path. However, there's going to be some who already have experienced life challenges or hurdles. And that's where the next part of Uplife's intervention is going to come in. So to be able to access support and tools to help you on this journey, this is where I'm going to hand over to Lesley to continue.
Thanks, Jane. Hi, I'm Lesley Davidson. So throughout my early working life, I've enjoyed many jobs which have taken me on a journey of lifelong learning. I've enjoyed working in a variety of roles in the great outdoors, with equestrianism being at the heart of most of those early experiences. And let me tell you, working with animals and teaching people to ride horses can be a very grounding experience. Other areas of employment have been working in the arts industry, which gave me the pleasure of meeting people from different cultures, backgrounds, and ethnicities in both the social and creative environment. But it really was when I reached my mid-20s that I decided that I really wanted to work in a role that made a difference to people's lives. And that might sound cliche, but throughout my life, I've always been interested in people. So I became a youth work volunteer, which then sent me on the journey to become a Bury Council employee, a role that I continue to enjoy and uphold to this day. And I've been privileged to work within a number of roles within the local authority, And these have included supporting adults living in the community with learning disabilities to lead independent lives, working with young people in care to support them in semi-independent living, and also working with young people in care on bail and remand. And this was before the youth offending service existed, so I'm going back quite a while. I've also supported families and young people and was a member of the crisis intervention team in Bury, offering rapid responsive support to parents and whose children were at crisis point. And throughout this time, I realised that often the support packages that I was offering, it felt too late. So I turned my attention to working as part of an early intervention support team. And I began a new role within the local authority, developing anti-bullying strategies and interventions in our schools. Over the years, this role has expanded to incorporate emotional health and well-being. This is a role that I really feel has genuinely benefited many young lives over the years. And although part of this role is dealing with problems as they arise for young people, I've ensured that there are programmes of early intervention that reduce the numbers of reactive strategies that would otherwise have been needed. So as Jane mentioned earlier, we've worked on numerous projects over the years, focusing on prevention and partnership. And we have indeed met many partners, such as Karen, who have a shared vision of early support for people to improve longer term outcomes for them. So at Uplift Unite, one of our ethos that's important to us is to take people on our journey with us. And with us is exactly what we mean. As a trainer and avid supporter of restorative practices, whose principles lie in developing stronger communities by including doing things with people rather than for people or to people, we will therefore consult and seek feedback from our members as we tread our path, and will inform our practice to deliver something meaningful for the people that we serve. So we'll grow Uplift Unite with our community members. You know, more than any other time in my life, I feel that this is necessary. The COVID-19 crisis pandemic has changed everybody's life in one way or another. We've all faced adversity in many ways over the past 12 months, with a combination of physical, mental and emotional challenges. You know, whether that be homeschool education, many in overcrowded houses, financial pressures, increase in domestic abuse and violence. Also, there's many people who've become isolated and separate from the communities, and especially the most vulnerable in society. There are those in that are suffering with the effects of long-term COVID that continues to affect their lives in many ways. Most of the people I know, and I include myself, either have lost a loved one to COVID or know of somebody who has died from COVID. For many, the future is uncertain. And as furlough is set to finish at the end of September, that's going to mean for many people that they're not going to have a job to return to. So the pandemic has changed us all in some ways, and the rise in mental health issues will most definitely increase as a result of this. So one of our driving forces at Uplift Unite is to give people in our community increased opportunities to reconnect with people, to forge friendships and connect to others where they currently don't exist, to provide services to our local communities and to link in with existing services to deliver further prospects for people to advance themselves and those who exist around them. So in effect, to create a better community for everybody. You know, we recognise that everyone is different, so we've got a variety of initiatives, workshops, projects that we can deliver, and Jane's going to tell you a little bit more about this and the structure of Uplift Unite. So she's just going to load the PowerPoint at this point.
Okay.
It's only a short one, promise.
Yeah, promise, not too many slides. Okay. Leslie, are we up?
Not quite. Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
Wonderful. Technology is my friend. Okay, so what we've realised within Uplift Unite is that not everyone is interested or will feel relaxed and content in the same environment, or will indeed have the same interests. As such, we've identified what we're referring to as the 4 pillars to Uplift Unite, which are shown at the side of the slide here. So we've got active, creative, well-being, and life. Now, the first one is active. And that relates to us getting out, connecting with nature. And one of the first things that we established in October last year was the Roving Ramblers, which is our walking group. And this was just literally before the lockdown began, at that sort of time of the year. We recognised that quite a lot of people had become isolated, and there was a need for people to mix with their peers in a safe environment that was also within the government guidelines. So many things that we take for granted were removed. The benefits of walking, connecting with nature, enjoying the beauty of our surroundings, and being able to chat with other people was one of the keys to supporting people, not just with the physical health, but also with the mental health and well-being. And we currently have now a range of informal walk events planned at beginner, intermediary, and advanced levels. We have a ladies group only, and we also have a mixed gender group as well. The rationale at the time for the ladies group was in relation to those who were perhaps concerned sometimes walking in isolated areas, or indeed at the time in October, the darker nights were coming, the advancing winter months, and it was to help the ladies feel safe. We've also got interested parties that we are supporting, that are supporting us to develop a running Couch to 5K group and a cycling group. So that will be coming soon. The next 2 pillars are well-being and creative. So we'll talk about creative first. We recognise that many people, as we said, are interested in learning new types of crafting and new hobbies. And I'm sure during some of the lockdowns that we've had recently, quite a few people may have picked up hobbies that they've not perhaps done for years, or picked up new ways of doing things. So we're developing a programme that will offer woodcraft skills, sewing, crochet and photography. And we are open to explore any other suggestions or work with volunteers that may wish to offer anything else. And then the 3rd pillar is well-being. We've a number of courses that we've created so far. One of the first ones we've called the Path to Wellbeing, which is an 8-part wellbeing course. It incorporates mindfulness, meditation, and the 5 steps to wellbeing. And this can be delivered as an 8-part online or in-person series, a 1-day workshop, or as 2 half-days. We also have the Mindfulness Through the Lens course. This is an introduction to mindfulness, incorporating simple tips and hints to improve your photography with your mobile phone, no fancy equipment required. And this is encouraging people to get out and connect with nature. And when you think about it, photography by itself is a very mindful pastime, as you are framing and focusing on the very simple and quite often beautiful view of your surroundings at any given moment. And this is a course that we initially developed a couple of years ago with extremely positive feedback at the time from the participants. And the picture there is a group of the lovely ladies who were with us on that first course. The next course that we have got developed is an 8-part mindful-based stress reduction course. And this is combining meditation techniques with cognitive behavioural skills and mindful movement, which is what sets it apart from mindfulness. We're also trained facilitators in a methodology called appreciative inquiry, and this is a positive revolution in change. It incorporates the act of exploration and discovery and being open to see new potentials and possibilities. And we'll have a number of courses focusing on appreciative inquiry, or with the appreciative inquiry being weaved throughout them. We're also looking at other collaborative work with partners and agencies to help reduce isolation and improve mental health and well-being. Now, our fourth pillar is life, and this is where, in a moment, we'll introduce Auntie Karen and Charlie, Chef Charlie. And this is our final pillar that initially relates to everyday subjects that may or may not affect us or be a challenge in some way. We will be delivering awareness raising sessions on key community subjects, which we want you to choose. And there's going to be a little bit more about this, and this will be explained in a moment when but we've already begun a series of online cookery sessions. So we have Auntie Karen delivering bakery and Charlie, who is doing savoury at the moment. So what I'm going to do now is firstly introduce Karen.
First of all, I have these two ladies to thank for being here tonight, and I'll explain that in a short while. I've been a teacher of maths and a senior leader in a successful pastoral role in the same high school for 34 years, until 2 years ago I was made redundant, and those people who know me know that it was devastating for me. My confidence hit rock bottom, and that, partnered up with the redundancy, forced me into early retirement. You won't think I was only 35, but yes. So on the positive side, that allowed me to enjoy some hobbies, a little bit of mindfulness and enjoying the outdoors and being out there walking. Hobbies like bird watching, photography, but in particular in the winter months, the baking that I'd loved for many years. I'd initially baked for family and friends and colleagues, and for a few years, I'd been providing cakes for the whole of my son's hockey team as post-match refreshment. So I started to sort of branch out in some of the things I was baking and improve my own skills and extend the things I was doing. But at the start of lockdown, my son and my two nephews, who live quite a distance away, realised they wouldn't be able to come and sample my products anymore. So they asked me if I would show them how to do a particular cake online, if I would talk them through it. And once that went down well, they decided they wanted to do some more. So I hand wrote a recipe book for each of them as a sort of a keepsake, really. And we then started to do Saturday morning baking sessions using just WhatsApp video calls. And these became more and more frequent, and we tried to get through all the recipes, all the 30 recipes that were in the book, which we did. And what I found was that they were developing such confidence that they were tweaking the recipes themselves and even asking if they could bake things like lemon meringue pie, which I would consider a 3-star difficulty recipe, but they were really keen to extend their own skills. So these became more frequent, and then just like magic appeared my two friends Lesley and Jane, and we were talking about Uplift Unite and all the fantastic ideas that they had got. So I was keen to help them, they were keen to have me on board, and they asked what I could offer, really, what could I do to sort of help their project along. And I mentioned something that me and my son and my two nephews call Auntie Karen's Cakes, and the name stuck, really. So we decided that we would have a few trial sessions with Lesley's partner having a go in the kitchen, and Jane having a go at baking, which she'd wanted to do scones, so we tried that as our first session. And I was really, really impressed with the way both of them had taken it on board and how their confidence improved even just with one session. We found that with some of the sessions that we've already done, in that people have been actually terrified of what we call the S word, the sinking cakes, that is just a fear that puts people off baking, really. But the worst that can happen is you just throw it away, or you eat something that's a little bit flatter than it is on the picture. So it's not the end of the world. So we've got quite a few people now joining the sessions, and the fantastic thing is that not only did they come out with the stunning results, they're happy and we have a damn good laugh while we're doing it and make new friends. So that's my input to my small input to Uplift Unite. And if you fancy joining us one time, you feel free. We'd love to see you. So that's my input, really.
Thank you very much, Karen. And it's an absolute pleasure to have you on board with us. Okay, so I'm now going to go to Charlie.
Hi, I'm Charlie. I'm Jane's partner. Jane's wrote me into this because for the best part of 30 years, I'm a qualified chef. I've got lots of experience in different areas of the catering industry, from high-end restaurants through to school meals, army catering, hospitals, and the school meals was really where I found a lot more passion recently of the cooking side of life. James wrote me in. We want to create a community of people who would be generally, well, not scared. I want to boost people's confidence in the kitchen, and to help them evolve in the kitchen and to be more confident. We've had a couple of sessions so far. We've made lasagna, and Leslie will agree with me that we've also got her partner on board as well, who hasn't cooked for her in how many years?
10.
10. And he's cooked her how many meals in the last 2 weeks?
About 4, I think, Charlie.
Yeah, we made, for the first session, we made prawn and smoked salmon linguine, and he really bossed it, and I was very proud of what Steve had done, and I think Leslie was proud of what he'd done, and it tasted lovely. So if you have any ideas of what you'd like to have, please message us later on and hopefully join us.
Okay, that's lovely, Charlie. Thank you. Thank you very much. As a result from these initial activities that we're already up and running with, we expect to achieve the following, which is on the slide there, everything that's listed, and nurture all those who access any of Uplift Unite services, helping them to feel empowered, achieve their aspirations in their own way and at their own speed. And it's extremely important that as part of this process, we consult regularly with our community and the individuals that we're coming into contact with, so that we are evolving with their suggestions and ideas. So the Your Community webinars, of which this is the first one, or workshops, are the engagement process of consulting with you and delivering information to you from either Leslie or myself. But we intend to invite guest speakers and experts in their fields to provide practical information, advice and support around other community subjects. This will provide information regarding the early warning signs, and will also collaborate and signpost to local charities, agencies and support groups who can provide specific and individual needs to those who may need a little bit more. But quite often, as mentioned, people only gain access to these services when they've reached a crisis point, and sadly this is often too late. So let's strip this back as a community, encourage each other to work together to make our communities a supportive, kind and safe place to live. And the earlier we as a community can intervene when we see any of these early warning signs, the more preventative support we can offer and divert people from reaching any crisis. But however, as we've said, the key to this is working together. One way that we're going to be getting all the information to you around all the initiatives, all the activities and the awareness that we're doing, and we'd love people to get engaged or promote within their establishments as well, is going to be a subscription for the Uplift Unite newsletter, which is going to be released every month. And that'll be linked to the website, which is currently under development. But what we want to do now is talk to you a little bit more about your community and well-being. So I'll hand back over to Leslie.
Okay, so you might think that this is a grand plan, and we would agree with you, but for those of you who know us, you won't be surprised. And a key part of Uplift Unite is about nurturing people from within the organisation and empowering them to be part of our team, to grow the community from within the community. And in addition to this, we will welcome volunteers and learn and utilise the skill sets that they also bring. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to use something called a Mentimeter. And Jane is going to put a code into the chat box. And if you click onto the link and write down, we're going to be using this 3 times over the course of the next few minutes. So the code will be the same on each occasion. So if you can either write it down or remember it, or just flip between the 2 screens if you have 2 screens, or minimize 1 screen. If by any chance you do lose the teams, then just join us again on the original link and we'll let you back into the meeting. Is that okay? Okay, so moving forward to the next part of this webinar, for us, we hear the term well-being more and more frequently, but what does it mean to you? So let me just see. So think of a time, perhaps when you felt really well, when you were happy, energized, felt healthy. Perhaps you were with people that uplifted you. You might have been on your own even, or you might have been really immersed and enjoying whatever it was you were doing at that time. What we want you to think about is what factors were in place to make this happen. So make a mental note of these. We're not going to ask any of you to share your personal story, but we would like you to tell us what influenced this state of well-being. So give you a few examples. You might have been well rested, you might have been on holiday, been looking at a lovely view, or pursuing a hobby, or anything personally that's related to you. So if you click into the Mentimeter, you'll see the question, what is well-being? And there'll be multiple answers for you to put into that. So just type in what the word well-being means to you. What are the factors that enhance your well-being in your life? And I'm going to, whilst you're going into that and you're putting in your code and you're putting in some of those answers, I'm just going to kind of be talking a little bit around the 5 steps to well-being, just to kind of give some of you maybe some ideas if you haven't already thought of them. So one of them is about connecting. So connecting to the people around you, your family, your friends, colleagues, neighbours, whether that's at home, school, work, local community. But think of these as relationships, as the cornerstones of your life, that you spend time developing them, building these connections that are going to support you, enrich you every day. What kind of connections do you have that enhance your well-being? And also being active. Whether you're going for a walk, a run, you know, you're lifting weights like some of you do, cycling, playing a game in the garden or dancing. Exercising makes you feel good. And more importantly, discovering a physical activity that you enjoy or one that suits your level of mobility and fitness. And that's regardless of age. You know, you can do walking, football, and just gentle yoga if you're getting older, or you might have some disabilities. There are lots of different things that you can do. So that's again another key to well-being. It's taking notice of things, being observant, looking for something beautiful or remarking on something unusual, but savouring that moment. Whether you're on a bus, you're in a taxi, you're looking out of your office, your window, you're eating your lunch, or you're talking to your friends. It's just about being aware of the world around you, what you're feeling, and reflecting on your experiences that help you appreciate what matters to you. And keep on learning, because that's really important. Discovering new things or rediscovering an old hobby, signing up for a course, fixing a bike even, you know, learning to play an instrument, cooking. Charlie's been talking about cooking and Karen's been talking about cooking, but setting a challenge that you'll enjoy, and that will improve your confidence. And giving as well, so doing something nice for a friend, a stranger, thanking someone, you know, giving a smile. When you give a smile to somebody, you get a smile back. volunteering your time, maybe considering joining a community group. You could come along and join our community group, you know, but seeing yourself and your happiness linked to a wider community can be incredibly rewarding and create connections with the people around you. So I hope that whilst I've been chatting on about those 5 steps to wellbeing, that you've got some great answers in there that Jane can now reveal.
Yeah, it's been quite interesting watching this grow, Leslie. It's quite wonderful, actually. I will share the screen with you now, and if you are still on the Mentimeter, please do keep adding to it, because this will grow as you add more. There's some amazing suggestions, some fabulous words there, aren't there, Leslie?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, from really simple things like talking, having a purpose, that's so important to people. Having energy. When you've got a purpose, you're going to have energy, let me tell you. You know, using your brain, puzzling, I quite like that as well. Moving, walking, finding inner peace, all of those things are going to help you do that. Feeling self-confident, again, getting involved with things, engaging with people, trying new skills will help you to feel more self-confident. They'll raise your energy levels. Giving to people. When you give to people, you receive, you know, and that might not be something physical or tangible, but it's going to make you feel good inside. And that's what we're talking about here. And feeling safe, it's really important. Being resilient, having some fun, all of those things that you can see on there, that positivity, being in nature and feeling valued. It's a great list of what well-being means to you. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to mention that the words that are the largest are the ones that most people have put in. So that could be different people that have put them in. And it's really lovely to see that, you know, families there in the centre, just simple happiness, balance, giving. So some amazing suggestions. Thank you very much for that. And I can perhaps get a screenshot of this and get this out to people if they want this information afterwards. So the next thing we are going to look at is your community subjects.
Okay.
So
each month we're going to bring you a different focus subject. And again, are we going to do another Mentimeter on this, Jane?
yeah, I think so, because I think it's really nice to see the results.
Okay.
What we put in. So I'll put the link in again, although it is the same link and it is the same code.
Okay.
And if you are still logged into it, you'll see that you're there. Sorry, the code wasn't on that one. There we go. It's there again.
That link's so there's some suggestions that we'd like you to vote on, and put any other ideas in the chat as well. What we're aware of is most of you are familiar with the services that are currently being delivered across Bury, but you know, the general public doesn't have access to this general information. If I asked Joe Bloggs down the road what they know about any of these subjects, it would be very little, I would suggest. So Jane's she's included the link, and you'll see 6 suggestions that come up. And choose these in order of priority for you, please. So that the most important one for you first, and then the next, and so on and so forth. And then we'll have a look at what the results of those are. And as a consequence of that, that will help us to direct what community topics that we will be delivering on, not just Jane and I, but other speakers, some of whom might be in this meeting this evening, and that we will be delivering on for future sessions. So have again a look into that, into the Mentimeter link, and just have a vote on what subjects that we've suggested as a starter for 10 you think that you would be most interested in hearing more about, or perhaps you think that the general public might be more interested in hearing about.
And you can see for those people, there is a slight delay as it comes on, that things do change. So the subjects are there for those who've not been able to log on to the Mentimeter. At the moment, the first subject that's coming up is the health subjects, so such as dementia, stroke, and menopause. The second one at present is mental health. Of course, you know, that's something that's extremely important to everyone, and particularly within the current circumstances as we return back into normality, or whatever level of normality is. Victim support in the criminal justice process. A lot of times people can be a victim or want to report something to the police, and they don't know how to, what's going to happen, what will happen next. So it's those myths that are involved with that, and what support is available for those people who do report those things. There's also child exploitation. That includes sexual exploitation and criminal exploitation. And then we have domestic abuse and violence and hate crime. So at present, those are the subjects that we have. I'm not sure if anyone else is logged on and putting anything. I'll just give it a few seconds while it settles.
I mean, the other thing I would say to you is, if you can think of any other subjects that you think really matter to people that aren't on here, pop it into the chat, because we'd be really interested to hear what you think they are. Quite often we're all kind of working in our own little environments with our own set of topics around us, and so this is about getting a collective voice from people about what subject matters to them. And as we go forward and we host more of these and we get our name out there, then hopefully we'll have a wider general population attendance at these meetings, so we'll be able to get a better idea of more of the topics that matter to people. So yes, somebody's put in drug and alcohol abuse. Yeah, really good suggestion, because it affects so many people.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I've made a note of those that have come out in that order, and that's great. That'll give us something to start looking at and focusing on.
Yeah, we've got a post-pandemic future as well, which I think is it's just something I'd be really interested in, actually, as well. Yeah. So, because you know, like I say, Jane and I aren't the experts in all of this. We are looking to gain a collective expertise on this, because we all affect each other. So we all need to be in this together to look for some solutions. Yeah, reconnecting and reintegrating after 12 months parenting. After 12 months isolation and positive parenting, I can see there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know that there's people, again, that are in this room tonight that have got some expertise on some of these subjects, that might be willing to come on and do an input for us, similar to the one that Jane and I have done tonight, you know, be a guest host. So that's been really useful, and you know, thank you so much for those suggestions this evening. Yeah, how
parents can support their child's health and well-being. What I would say, if you want to switch your microphones on and switch your cameras back on now, then we'll just open it up for any kind of general discussion, any other questions that you perhaps want to ask. What I would say actually is, please do, unless you're actually speaking, you do keep your microphone off, because the background noise can just be a little bit distracting. Yeah, it just creates a bit of feedback sometimes. But by all means, you can just sort of start talking, or at the top, on the top bar, there's a little face and a hand. You can put your hand up and we'll come to you if anybody wants to speak to us. Then that'll be fabulous. So has anybody got any questions at all, or anything in relation to Uplift Unite? Any feedback, anything? It'd be great. Rebecca, I'm going to come to you because I can see your hands up.
Hiya, Jane. Yeah, where are you going to be based?
Yeah, good question. We're going to be floating initially, and we are on the search for a venue to have as our base. But for the time being, we will be looking at various different locations. If we can deliver stuff online, then we will do. But yeah, if anybody's got any lovely halls or venues that they want to offer us, then that would be fabulous. Thank you. Good question. Shirley,
you've got a question.
Yeah, I think it's all been fantastic, you know, all the ideas. But what I'd like see if we can encapsulate it in one sort of like paragraph. What is your joint vision for, you know, Uplift Unite? What is your joint vision about what you want to achieve and how you will achieve that? I know it's a short question, but it's a big question, isn't it?
I think that goes back to our sort of strapline, really. And the main ethos, the main aim is to empower others to achieve their aspirations. And the emphasis is on theirs, because not everybody will want to do things in different ways and have different aims, different goals, depending on what chapter of their life they're in. So I think that kind of sums it up in just that one sentence, hopefully.
Yeah, great, thank you. I think,
To add anything more to that?
No, sorry, I was looking at something else.
Okay, Mandy, I can see you've got your hand up.
Hi ladies, thanks so much Jane for inviting me.
And thank you for joining us.
Welcome. And Leslie, I'm sure we've worked together because I was a school nurse in Bury for 10 years before I left 5 years ago. So I think we have worked together.
Our paths will have crossed.
Yeah. Just nurse for St Gabriel's. So yeah, I'm sure we've met at various meetings and things like that. So lovely to see you again. Yeah, I just want to know, obviously we're health and wellbeing. I've got my colleague Julie Robinson who's jumped on this call tonight with you as well. We're obviously children's health and wellbeing. We've just literally set up a brand new company called Mini Minds Matters, and I just want to know, like you say, how we can work with you or what we can offer. How do you see like other professionals, you know, maybe feeding into Uplift Unite? Do you see that as a role, or is it just about us spreading the word and kind of that kind of thing? Just wondered what your thoughts around that were, really.
Yeah, definitely. We will be looking to do, obviously, joint pieces of work with other partner agencies. That'll be a big part of it, because we've all got kind of expertise in different areas. And when we look at communities aren't any individuals, they are families, they are children. And I think it's like anything else. We can't do it overnight, of course, but the better we can work with our contacts, with yourselves being one of them, Mandy, which would be fantastic, then the more people that we will be able to reach. Now, obviously, we're at the beginning of our journey doing this. Jane and I are well connected, mainly in Bury and Bolton, because I noticed Lynn's put what's the demographic for your community. So at the moment, it's mainly Bury and Bolton. But then, of course, with the online facilities, it can be so much further, you know, so in that sense, it can be quite endless. But collaborative working is something we're very, very keen to achieve. And also making sure that we are aware, as you say, Mandy, lots of people are springing up businesses at the moment. It's making sure that we're aware of what's happening out there so we can signpost, we can advertise people's events or, you know, work and what they're doing on our Facebook pages, on our website, to make sure that more people are going to get the benefit of the wider community services that are available for them.
Like a kind of, it'd be great for us like to connect and have like a professionals directory between us, so we know who we are, what we've all got to offer, and link together, work together, but also signpost to each other. That'd be really great, and I'd love to be involved. So yeah, thank you for this evening.
Yeah,
that's great. Thanks,
Mandy. Really look forward to working with you.
Yeah, I noticed that Karen's popped in the chat in relation to that question as well, Mandy, that she'd be happy to do a children's baking session one day, something simple, biscuits or cookies or something. So that's perhaps one project to discuss with you, but maybe if we arrange to have a meeting on another occasion and we can see how we can work together moving forward, that'd be great.
Yeah. And obviously my venue, Farm Retreat, it might be a venue that you want to look at to run different events, workshops, trainings, you know, some things. So there's that element as well. So yeah, definitely.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Mandy. Rebecca, did you have something, a question for us?
Yeah, I was just going to say, because obviously if you want to if you're keen to work collaboratively, our community art space will be opening very shortly now. So that's kind of all set to go ahead. I mean, obviously running, walking and that sort of thing, I can't help you with that at all. I don't do exercise. I should do exercise, I don't. But our art space is available for everybody in Bury. So if you want to talk more to me about some collaborative work around utilising the art space, that would be great.
Bex, that would be amazing, because I know that we've had a chat before and I know some of the stuff that you're doing, and I think that some of the stuff that Jane and I can offer is different to what you're doing, but will very much enhance your offer to the community of Bury.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, you know, we're volunteering doing this at the moment, but we are going to be looking to try to get some funding pots so that we can, you know, we can buy things that we're going to need to, you know, resources that we're going to need to kind of roll some of the ideas that we've got, because we've mentioned a few here tonight, because we've got to start somewhere. We can't be too big initially, but ideas aren't a problem for us. We've got plenty of them. It's just we'll start and we'll organically grow from there, but we will link in with you. More than happy to do that.
Absolutely, brilliant.
Okay, that's wonderful. Shirley, just before you go, I noticed you said you're about to leave. You did mention earlier that you can help with positive parenting. So maybe if you can share your email in the chat, I think you may have already done at the beginning. Then if that's something that you can link in with anyone else in the group with, then that's fine. But we have your contact details as well. So that's wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Shirley. Now then, yeah, and I think I've got your details as well, Shirley. Jude, is that a hand up there you've got? You're on mute, Jude.
Yeah, that's to keep the dogs out of it. Yes, what was, I think it's a fantastic idea as well. But also I'm thinking of, there's quite a few parent groups that might be also interested in the Bolton area. So I can link you into them. A lot of them will be autism, obviously, because of my background. But happy to collaborate on different areas. I do think one of the areas that parents might want to know about is that positive links with the police, to be honest. I've had it this week, and I must admit, fantastic story. Manchester area, young man with autism, really struggling. Police had to be called out, and because they were aware of his autism, they sent people who were aware and trained. But parents aren't always sharing that information on the calls, and it's just simple things like that that can make a huge difference. If I hadn't told the family, if you need to ring the police, actually flag it up, they wouldn't have done it, which could have had a totally different outcome, because they would have come out and maybe seen someone who was really distressed, really agitated, and it might have gone totally different, whereas the police handled it fantastically. But it's those links that people don't know, and the police, people are so wary of contacting the police and having those links. But there is that support and that training that needs to be done for parents to break down those barriers. So again, I'm happy to help where I can with my expertise and that. So sounds fantastic, really does. Well done.
Thank you, Jude. Thank you very much. And yeah, great idea. It would be nice to do some work with GMP, but with this hat on rather than the police hat. And I'm already making some inroads with them around that for Leslie and myself and for Uplift Unite. So thank you very much for that. Lynn, you've got a hand up.
Hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Jane. Lovely to be here. Nice to see you, Leslie, as well, and to meet you and everybody else. So I know Jane knows about all of the work that I do. It sounds like a fantastic initiative, really, really exciting, much needed. So I've got a lot of connections. I'm thinking of people already that I have connections with that would possibly be interested. So if you want to arrange a call, Jane or Leslie or both of you, and then we can chat more about what I do, what I can bring to the table, and other connections that I can introduce you to as well.
Lynn, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll arrange a meeting with you. Someone's just put a message in the chat about the website address. It's currently under development, so we haven't got that up and running yet. And I think, Rebecca, are you going, my love? Oh, you're on mute.
It all sounds fab. Leslie, I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to go, but Leslie, you've got my email, so
I
if you
have.
want to have a chat.
We'll set a meeting up. Thanks,
Set a
Beth.
meeting up. All right, brilliant, great work.
Cheers.
All right, see
Bye.
you now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Now, I do appreciate we are running over now, but there are still some people who have got some questions to ask. But by all means, if you know, we're very welcome. We're very grateful for you being here and sharing sort of step one with us. And hopefully we can work more with each other in the future. So if you do need to leave, then that's completely understandable. So the next hand up, I think that I saw was Sarah. Your hand was up for quite a while, and I apologise, I didn't quite catch it. So Sarah, are you still with us? Okay, no, I think Sarah's left. So she was asking about the website, which, as I say, it is under development at the moment. So hopefully that will be with us soon. Okay, other people are leaving, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from anyone? No. I'm going to press the record, and if anybody does want to stay on afterwards, sort of switch the record off, then you're welcome to stay for a little bit for a chat afterwards. But I'm going to switch the record off now.